you can't always capture in a photograph the whole of the scene that you're trying to create. One of the advantages of painting outdoors is that it allows you to capture all the elements that you want in your scene. Well, this is the view I'm working with out of the windscreen. The first thing I'm going to do is get rid of all those trees in the foreground because they're just creating an obstruction. And with those gone, you should be able to see a lot more of that lovely background. I'll just show you the colours. We've got ultramarine, lemon yellow, Payne's grey, alizarin crimson, raw sienna, burnt umber and light red. I've got the usual 3 brushes. Got the large hake. Now I find this sharpish edge on the lip of this, it's a collapsible water container, but it comes in very useful for taking a lot of the excess water off these goat hairs on the brush here. What I can't take off on this lip, I then remove on the tea towel, and you end up with a pretty dry brush fairly quickly. The other 2 brushes I use are the 3/4 inch flat, used for mainly buildings and those sorts of things, and the final brush is the number 3 rigger for the putting in figures and grasses and trees, tree trunks and twigs and all that sort of stuff. Now what I've done, I've created a sort of makeshift easel here. I've sort of roughly tied on this bar that's come off my easel, and then with that bar in place, it's just a case of resting your wood with the paper tied onto that, and it gives you complete freedom then. So I'm going to start just by wetting the paper all over with clean water using the large hake brush. Then you see the hairs there. I'm just going to dip just the tips in, just to bring all the hairs back together, and then go into the just raw sienna on its own, and just bring that down the page. I'm going to clean the brush again. We've got a nice blue sky, so once I've got the brush clean and the excess water off, I'm going to go into the ultramarine. Maybe just add a bit of Payne's grey just to get a bit of variation in it. Not too much though. And then I'm just going to start on this right hand side and just brush it over. And just maybe a touch on this left hand side as well, but not too much. Just want to create that sort of light area. So that's enough for that. Again, I'm just going to dip the tips in. I'm not going to clean the brush, so I'm using the same colours, raw sienna and ultramarine. Just dip the tips in just to bring the hairs back together, and then raw sienna again, ultramarine, and I'm going to put in the furthest trees that I can see. Always use the same colours as the sky because it helps push it right back into the distance. So starting on the left hand side, the most distant ones I can keep them nice and small. You can see by having 2 colours on the brush you get this nice sort of just subtle variation between the 2 colours, rather than just one sort of monotonous colour as it goes all the way. If you just stick to the one colour on the brush, that's why, unless I'm doing a sky or something like a sky, then I always have at least 2, maybe sometimes 3, especially if you're doing like foreground grasses or something. Just have a quick dip into all sorts of colours.